All right. Hello. Hey friends, welcome back. Let me get comfortable here. I'm sitting on a crate that I built out of some pallets, some pallet wood. Hello there. Hi. I see we have one person on. I'm a little early. I'm a whole minute early. And if you have toddler children, you know how big that is. Well, I've got my supplies here. Got my basket ready. I wish I could see who's tuned in. I'm so far away from my camera and I need my glasses. But when I put my glasses on, then all you see are rings in my eyes. So I don't have them on, but hello everyone. Welcome. I see Linda. I think that's Linda. I see Rachel. Thank you guys. Hi. Thank you for letting me know that you're here. Wherever it may, say hello. Let me know where you are watching from. Happy Sunday, everyone. I am down here in Texas. Today it's 106 degrees, and I think the heat index is 112. So there was a heat advisory for all of us to stay inside. It's been really hot today. So we are back. Welcome again. My name is Hasfa. I am the owner of Preston Every Design. Started my business 3 years ago so that I could stay home and raise my baby full time. And so 3 years later, here we are. I'm so excited to be hanging out with you on this beautiful evening. So glad to be part of the DIY family. And so today I am going to wrap up this thing, you guys. I know you're tired of seeing it. Let me tell you, I'm tired of it hanging out in my living room. I'm ready for it to go back to its own space. Hi, Brianna, I see you. Thank you so much for tuning in. So we're gonna wrap this up today. I've actually worked on the sides and the bottom, and I left just this part so that I could finish that on camera. But also, thank you, Brianna, also so that I'm not too distracted. I was telling my friends that I'm feeling a little vulnerable about today's story, and I don't know why. I'm usually not so insecure about these things, but I'm feeling a little vulnerable today. And I'm not sure why that is, but I'm happy to be here with you guys. So we're going to go ahead and jump right on in for today's story. If you saw the title is called The Pear Tree and the Pantry. That sounds like that Christmas song, doesn't it? About the 12 days of Christmas. Anyway, so I'm going to put this wax on really quick and give it a few minutes to settle, and then I'm going to go ahead and introduce today's story. So I'm just doing clear wax. I've already done the other side, but I'm just going to do this side here that I left blank. And then we'll go ahead and just give it a few minutes to sit. And I've already pre-waxed it, so most of this is just for show. But I just, if anyone is watching, I do want to still provide some value rather than running my mouth, right? So I've clear waxed this side, just finished this part up. So next, and hold on, my front door is opening. Hey guys, I'm on live, welcome back. Preston has been at grandmother's all day today and he just came back home. So they're walking in through the door. You guys don't mind them. All right, I'm picking up my golden ticket right down here. So I'm blending this into these layers as well. I'm gonna put that on so that while it's setting up, I can start telling you about today's story. So like I was mentioning, the title is called The Pear Tree and the Pantry, and it's about the difference between survival and living. So last time, I'm just gonna blend this on here as I talk. So last time we left off when I was going back to bed, my very first day in America, because I didn't have to be up so early. And so the story now picks up on what happens when I finally woke up and had my very first day in America. So my mom, Sherelle, she continued to give me a tour of the grounds. I said grounds like it's a big thing. It was a backyard. So anyway, she continued to give me the tour. She gave me a tour of the house, and she took me to the backyard. When we got to the backyard, there was a pear tree. At that time, I didn't know that it was a pear tree. I had never seen a pear in my entire life. You see, where I come from, certain fruits just don't grow. We live in a semi-tropical, climate, you could say. And so I had never seen pears before, and apples were a delicacy. They were like a luxury. So I think by that time I was 11, and I had an apple only once, and it wasn't a full apple. It was like a wedge, you know, when you slice your apple, and it was like a wedge of a slice. And I remember it was at a birthday party, and they split this apple like 20 different ways, so all 20 of us children could have a piece. And so that was my first time having an apple. And it was so good, it was so delicious, it was so crispy, right? And I just remember telling myself, when I get rich, I'm going to eat nothing but apples. So to put it in perspective, to buy an apple back then, this was in 1999, maybe a few years before then, to purchase an apple would have been 500 shillings. So that would be like the equivalent of like $25 an apple. And I don't mean an actual conversion, but if you could see like the amount of money, like what you could buy with that amount of money, imagine paying $25 for one apple. And most of the people live on $1 a day, right? So that's something that's just not going to happen. So we never had apples, but I would see them whenever I'd go in the city, in the rich people's supermarkets where only the tourists lived, and they could experience those luxuries and delicacies. And my entire life, I remember just saying to myself, one day when I get rich, I'm going to have all the apples in the world. And so here I am, my mom shows me the backyard, and there is a pear tree. And I had no idea that pears were even tastier than apples. And so she tells me what they are. And you guys, I don't know if it was maybe the season that I got here. This tree was in mass production. There were pears all over. Though some of them weren't even falling on the floor, and they were just everywhere. There were pears everywhere, and I just could not believe my eyes. So we picked a few of them, went inside, and washed them up and prepared them to go with that morning's breakfast. And I remember before we sat down, my mom got a bowl from the cabinet, and she introduced me to another American delicacy. Ladies and gentlemen, now enters the ultimate American classic breakfast cereal for champions, Apple Jacks. So she brought out some Apple Jacks. I had never seen Apple Jacks before. We don't eat cereal back home, but she brings out some Apple Jacks. Hi. And so she brings out Apple Jacks, and she pours them in a bowl for my breakfast, right? And she's got some pears sliced to go with this breakfast. And then she brings out milk, and she pours the milk into the bowl. And I'm so confused because she didn't dilute the milk. Because back home, you have to stretch the milk, right? When you do get milk, you have to stretch it. So we usually water our milk down. And she just poured the milk into the bowl straight up. She didn't even water it down. And so she gave me this food. And I'm sitting at the dining table, and I have a bowl of Apple Jacks and a saucer of pears. And I sit there to eat, and these Apple Jacks, man, they were so delicious. They were so sweet and so crunchy, and these little things that were swimming in milk. I mean, there was just so many things happening. My senses were overjoyed. And I just remember those pears were so soft, and they were so sweet. If you have a Sam's Club or a Costco where you are, you've seen those pears, right? The ones that come in a bag, like the 5-pound bags. So that's where we get ours. And the ones from Sam's are like hands down the best pears, right? The pears from that tree at my parents' home tasted just like that. So I think I'm done with all of the golden ticket that I want to put on here, because I don't want to cover up too much of my other layers, but I do want to bring out some of it and make it shiny a little bit. So I'm going to start with this, and then I'm going to bring in the golden rule wax. So anyway, so I ate the pears, and they were just so delicious, and I could not believe that there was so much more from where that came from. And so as the morning passes, I'm continuing to explore my new home, and then she sends me to the pantry. I don't remember why she sent me to the pantry, but I had to go to the pantry. I think maybe I was putting the cereal back. And so this was the first time, you guys, that I even heard of the word pantry. So I opened the pantry, and inside it, and it wasn't like a grand pantry. It wasn't even like a walk-in pantry like today's pantries. You know, it was an average size pantry. So I opened it, but to me at that time, there was shelves that went from like floor to the ceiling, and there was food everywhere. This little closet, this little room was packed with food, like all the food you could think of, right? All the wonderful things that you could imagine were in this pantry. And I'm standing there looking at it from floor to ceiling, and I have questions now. So I'm thinking they surely have to have a business, right? My mom and my dad and my new mom, surely they run a business and they're in the business of selling food, right? Because it's the only way I can explain all this food just sitting in this little room, right? And now they have the spare tree at the back. There's no way all this food belongs to just one family, right? And so she then explains to me what a pantry is and what it does and how you store food in there, you store your surplus, and she goes through the entire system for me. And I'm sitting there and I cannot believe what she's saying. Like, you mean to tell me families in America have this much food at one time in their homes? And my mouth drops. Now, don't forget, not only is there a pantry, there's a fridge that is full. And there's a freezer. There's a freezer that is packed. Now, I will be fair and say that I came around the holiday season, right? It was November, so it's close to the Thanksgiving season. So I'm sure there was more food than usual. But I'm seeing food in the fridge, food in the freezer, food in the pantry, and food in the cabinets. And I just don't know what to do with it because I've never seen that much food from where I come from. And so I was 11 then, right? But one thing that I know that hit me in that moment, I felt something that has never left me. And so, which brings me to the point of the story that I'm sharing today, right? At that tender age of 11, I knew immediately that my life was changing. Because you see, I was now going from survival mode and I was entering a new phase of life. And I was entering what we call living. I was no longer going to be operating in survival mode. I was transitioning to living. Because you see, when you don't have to spend hours foraging or looking for your next meal, you can now do other things, right? Because survival is a primary need, right? And food is a primary and essential need for survival. And until those primary needs are met for your survival, your secondary needs cannot be a consideration, right? So creativity cannot be a consideration. You have so much talent in developing worlds, right? But you will never see that talent because they are constantly in survival mode, and that takes priority. And so you really cannot start to live and thrive until you get out of survival mode. And at that tender age of 11, I couldn't express it or put it in 2 words like I'm able to do today. But I knew what was happening. I knew that my life was indeed changing. And so that's why I'm sharing this story today. Because, you know, as creatives, as business owners, we have survival needs. We have needs that are essential to our survival. Now, your needs may not be like my needs at that age, right? Your needs might be totally different. And they don't have to be about food like mine was, right? It could be anything else. It could be fear. You could be operating in a constant state of fight or flight. You're constantly in fear. It could be a relationship that is holding you back. It could be a financial situation. It could be self-doubt. It could be so many things that are keeping us in a constant state of survival, right? And until we get out of that constant state of fear and flight, we really can't thrive. And so I want to challenge us today to really dig deep and evaluate our lives. Like, what is something in your life right now? And I'll be the first one to share, because now my survival needs are no longer the basic needs by the grace of God, right? Now my survival needs are, so I suffer from anxiety, right? And when I have my moments where it's really on its highest peak, I really can't think, I can't focus, I can't sleep, I can't do anything else, right? And quickly, immediately, I realized that I've got to get this under control so that I can function. So ask yourself, what is something in your life that has got you in a constant state of fight or flight, that has got you in this hectic need of survival, that is holding you and is caging you in, right? Because until you address that, you cannot unlock the door to your creativity, right? And you're constantly going to be blocked. You're constantly going to be faced with challenges and fear and self-doubt and negativity and all of these things, right? Until you get yourself out of that situation, right? So what do you need to do? Do you need to seek therapy? Do you need to talk about it? For me, I realized I needed to talk because I grew up in a system where no one cares what you feel. Your feelings are not valid. Like, people don't have time for feelings. What do you mean you're feeling down when the family next to you, they don't know where the next meal is coming from, right? I came from that background of, you don't know where you're going to live next, right? Yeah, you're with one family now, but in 2 weeks, you'll be in a totally different family. You don't know how they're going to like you. Are you going to be safe, right? And so when you're in that environment, I don't even know how to put it, but picture all of the things you hear, all of the challenges you hear in the American foster system. Now apply that, but with no accountability, with no checks and balances, right? So like, that's what my background was like. Like, I lived from one house to the next and lived with so many different relatives. There was never stability, right? And so you just never know where life is going next. And as long as you're in that state, and many people from where I come from, sadly, that is the way of life. And so feelings, there's just no room for feelings. And so I operated in a system of not talking and not sharing and bottling everything in. And then I learned as I grew, and as I embraced my creative community and learn and grow from you guys, I learned, so I totally forgot what I was supposed to be doing. I learned that I've got to talk. And so, do you need to talk? Do you need to go to therapy? Do you need to give up those, relationships? They don't have to be romantic. It could be friendships. It could be family members, right? Do you need to get out of debt? What is it? What's holding you back? We all have something. I'm going to put this on the edges so that I can mimic what I did down here. But anyway, so we all have something that's got us in a constant state of survival mode. And until we can get out of that survival mode, we really cannot thrive, right? And the wonderful thing, friends, is that on the other side of your fears lies your biggest, most beautiful possibility. All your dreams, all the things you've ever dreamt of. Here I was just dreaming of one day having more than a bite of an apple, and now there's a pear tree in my backyard. I could eat apples until I'm sick. I could eat pears until I'm sick of them, right? You see, I wanted apples, but I didn't know about pears. And that's the irony of life, is that what you think you want, oh, there's so much more. There's something so much bigger and so much greater. You've just got to get out there and seek it. Figure out what is holding you back and get yourself out of that constant need, of fear of flight. Stop surviving and start living, friends. We've got to start living, right? Because the other thing about living is that when you truly start to live, you will enter a state of vitality. So that's like one of my favorite words ever, and it's vitality. And I have a definition for you on that one, right? And I'm not sure if this is the only definition, but this is the definition I know, and this is the definition I live by, and this is the definition that echoes in my head. And it says this: vitality lies not only in the ability to thrive, but also in the ability to start over. Vitality lies not only in the ability to thrive, but also in the ability to start over. Friends, you can thrive in your survival mode, but that's what I'm talking about. You are constantly in this heightened state of stress, right? And so if you really want to be vital, you may need to start over. You may need to start new, like I did, right? I know without a doubt, there's no way I'd be sitting here playing with these beautiful products and making a living, right? In my old life. But here I am. I had to leave home to find home. And all of the wonderful things on the other side of the world awaited me, right? So the Pear and the Pantry was such symbolic things to me because back home, we ate one meal a day. So you ate one meal a day, and there were no snacks. That was it. You eat that one meal, and then you wait till the next day for your next meal. And so here I am in America now, and there's all this food, and not only that, I can eat whenever I need to. There's no eating schedule. I don't have to wait till the whole family is eating so we can all eat. I can eat whenever I need to, right? And so that's what happens when you get out of survival mode. You will be able to achieve anything you choose, anything you put your mind to. So make a choice today. Choose to stop just barely hanging on, right? And go out in the world and go after your dreams and go after your goals. So this is all I'm doing to this. I'm going to go ahead and blend this nicely. And I'm going to go over it with a buffer so that I can get it all to shine. I'll do the same thing to the top. And then I'm finished with this. I really like how it's turning out. I do want that deep green to still be very evident because that is the color scheme for my home. So I don't want to lose that. But I'm really liking the direction that it's going. And so this will be the last time you see this piece today. But friends, I really encourage us to really think about life and think about not just surviving, but think about living. Imagine that you have a pear tree and it may not be pears for you, whatever you want. Imagine it's out there in your backyard growing on a tree and spread out on the ground in easy access, in reach for you. Now make a choice that you will not just survive, that you will thrive, even if it means you need to start over. And you will do whatever it takes and you will start over because friends, you have so much inside you that it has to come out. The world needs you to really dig deep and pull out all your biggest dreams because as you let your own light shine, you give others permission to do the same. When you step out and you say, world, look at me. I am here and I am ready to take up space. When you do that, you give other people permission to do the same. You let them know that it's okay. So I see you, friend, and I trust and I believe that you are destined for greatness and that you will go deep down in the darkest, most intimate places of your heart and you will pull it out and you will share it with the world because the world desperately needs you and we need what's inside you, friend. Thank you guys so much for tuning in with me today. Thank you for letting me share, and I will take a picture of this and I'll post it in the group. I really appreciate you hanging out with me today. I love you and I will see you next week. Take care, friends. Bye-bye.